Alright, it's time for the fuel system. I already put in an NPT fitting into the bottom of the fuel tank where the fuel is going to come out. You do want to use thread locker on these. I have it all laid out before I started this. I wanted to make a 90-degree turn here. The way this system's going to work, it's going to go lift pump, fuel pump, lift pump. It's going to pull it out of the tank into a surge tank, or if you're doing a race type setup, you can do a swirl pot, which literally swirls the fuel around inside of it. I just have a surge tank here that it's going to go into. It's going to be down here on the rail. What that's going to do is, if you're in a powerful corner, all the fuel in this tank is going to want to go towards the passenger side, leaving this dry. Not when the tank's full, obviously, but it's not going to be full all the time. So this tank here, because of the way it's shaped, you know, you'd have to turn it like this in order to get the fuel not to be at the bottom, so you can survive a pretty severe G's and angle there. You know, if you're in that position, you're in a lot of trouble. Fuel would be the least of your concerns. So this pump here, the Holly, which I already mounted to the rail, I tapped in there and mounted it, is going to lift the fuel out of the pump. It's a low, or out of the tank. It's a low pressure fuel pump. Send it to the surge tank, and then the surge tank is going to flow into the high pressure pump, which is going to be mounted to the floor. The high pressure pump is sitting right here. Got some fittings on there temporarily. That's going to send the fuel to the fuel rail. This particular engine is going to want 60 pounds of fuel pressure constantly. And this lift pump here will not supply that. The Holly will. Or not, the Holly won't. The high pressure pump here, this one here, it will. And when you get a fuel pump, they'll be rated telling you how many PSI they're rated to support. It's nice and tight, and it's approximate the angle I want it to be. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go into a fuel shutoff valve, so that when I want to change the fuel filters, I can stop the tank from fuel from coming out of the tank. And that way I can change my filters without making a huge mess or draining the tank, which is just a pain. So this fitting is going to go on here, and then this shut-off valves are going to go onto there. Again, I want to put on some thread locker, thread sealer. It's nice and tight. Some thread sealer on the next one. You can see in there there's a ball that turns it off. Doesn't really matter which way you orient it. Works either way. The next one goes from NPT to AN. It's a 8AN fitting. Just a little adapter. So now that we're getting into actual fuel lines, now I'm going to seal the NPT side, but not the AN side. The AN has a flare fitting which will seal itself. Nice and tight. And then the next will be the actual 8AN lines. And I've already made up this line, and a little bit later in the video I'm actually going to make some AN lines. But you've got the line ends and the actual line. This is size 8, which, don't ask me why that is, but the way they measure 8AN is how many sixteenths. So it's 8/16, which is a ½ inch. Now if I was painting right now, I may not be able to do that math. Okay, so now we got the feed line coming up to the lift pump. And what we need before the lift pump is a fuel filter. Fuel filter is marked flow, so fuel is going to be coming this way from the tank up to there. These are 8AN fittings. This is a 100 micron filter, pre-filter for the pump. And that just threads into the AN fitting. And this filter itself comes apart, and the element inside is replaceable. The 100 micron has a stainless steel filter. This one will be changing fairly quickly after you drive it a while. Any junk that's left inside the engine or the fuel tank. So tighten that back up. Again, make sure the fuel flow is oriented the right way. We're on there. I'm going to tighten the AN fitting. There's a little And from there, we're going to come up to the actual fuel pump. Before I tighten down the fittings, these will swivel, the 90 degrees will swivel in there before you actually tighten them down. Get everything started and snug. And then you can shape it and position it like so. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure I'm going to take it back off. Yeah, as I'm tightening things as I go along, and this fit in here is not tight going into the fuel pump. Same thing, this is an NPT going into fuel pump, so I want some thread lock, thread sealant.